Good evening, everyone. It is 6:02 by the clock on the wall, and I'm calling to order the regular meeting for the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. We'll begin with our opening with a pledge of allegiance to both the United States and to Texas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now go to item 3. I'll open the floor for items of community interest. Is there anyone wishing to make such a proclamation?
Yeah, so this is just a reminder. We have our second annual menorah lighting I told you all about last month. So it's December 26th at 5:30. The mayor will be lighting this year, as well as a Pflugerville entrepreneur named Sagivo Effect, 3-time tech entrepreneur. So that's exciting. We'll have all sorts of Hanukkah items of interest. So, I know a few of y'all attended last year. And yeah, it'll be, hopefully this is once again another one of Pflugerville's annual traditions that continues to spark the city.
And the location?
Yeah, so the location is that plaza right in downtown. So where all the lights are. So literally right across the street from Victory Tap.
And Adam, how many years has this been done now?
This is the second annual.
Outstanding.
So, yeah, I think there were a lot of people here were there last year. So, yeah, hopefully once again, like this, this is the second year, and hopefully it's a tradition that continues.
Excellent. Thank you, Adam. Anyone else with items for community interest? Okay, I've closed items of community interest. We'll now go to item 4, public comment. In accordance with the Texas Attorney General's opinion, any public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the PCDC board. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made by the PCDC board. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. I now open the floor to anyone wishing to make public comment. Seeing that no one is moving to the microphone, I will close item 4. We'll now move to item 5. First up in our agenda is 2024-1199. This is the public hearing in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code, section 505.158. The Pflugerville Community Development Corporation will receive public comments related to the following projects considered by the PCDC as follows: expenditures for public park and park facilities or open space improvements in the amount of $600,000 for the Downtown East Plaza. And I now open the public hearing for comment. And with the arrival of the gavel, I will close the public hearing for comment. We'll now go to the regular meeting, item 6. Number 6A, 2024-1195 will approve the November 16, 2024 special meeting minutes and the November 20, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Jeff, point of order.
Sir.
Ask council on item 5, do you need a vote to close the public hearing?
No.
Okay. Just checking. We typically do in council. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, thank you. Cool. Item 6B, this is 2024-1200. Discuss and consider action to authorize the PCDC president to sign a letter of support of mobility for a Campo Carbon Reduction Pollution CRP grant proposal. And does anyone have any comment to make?
Do we have an update, something?
Or presentation, what we got?
Presentation.
I'm so sorry, Crystal, do we have any materials?
This was a request from Mr. Thompson. The mobility gentleman came about a month or two ago, and they are now going to go after a grant. And Mr. Thompson indicated to him that the board would sign a letter of support. And so that letter is available. And if you wanted to read that, you could, and let the board hear it.
Guess is with the carbon grant reduction, just knowing what movability does for all of you, like they do these things called school pool and go grant programs. And so the idea is, expanding those dollars to Pflugerville. So getting Pflugerville businesses, Pflugerville schools, like creating transportation solutions. So, I'm not talking about like light rail or anything like that, but more of sort of
Carpooling.
carpooling and various other creative ways that they've done in the city of Austin to help us with congestion as well.
And what the regional grant would allow is for movability to be able to help fund businesses to give them a grant when their employees do something that reduce that carbon footprint. And it's regional. And so that's how we've kind of become wrapped up in it.
I think it's up to what, 7,500?
Yes. Mhm.
Good. I'd like to go ahead and take a few minutes and I'll read the body of the letter into the record. The letter reads, Pflugerville Community Development Corporation is pleased to offer our support for Movability, an organization committed to shaping Central Texas with a focus on people rather than cars. Movability's proposal aims to deliver grassroots, community-focused initiatives, establish a comprehensive regional transportation demand management platform, and launch a multilingual marketing and communication effort. These strategies are designed to mitigate the traffic congestion challenges stemming from significant construction projects in our region. Pflugerville Community Development Corporation knows we must do something to ensure we keep Central Texas moving. We are partnering with Movability to ensure our community reduces drive-alone commuting in the years to come. With funding from this grant, we will work with Movability to, number one, encourage business partners to enact policies that reduce drive-alone commuting and encourage walking, biking, transit, carpooling, and van pooling to and from work. Two, provide marketing support to promote mobility initiatives and encourage residents and businesses to download a regional MAAAS mobile application to facilitate carpooling. Movability has successfully broadened the impact of transportation demand management programs by implementing a dynamic and inclusive strategy that resonates with diverse groups. Their personalized approach, featuring a tailored travel planning, one-on-one commuter assistance, on-site engagement, and a robust digital platform to promote alternative transportation options, holds significant potential to benefit our organization and region. We deeply value Movability's innovative and thoughtful methods, which we believe align strongly with the mission and objectives of the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. We encourage your committee to seriously consider and support Movability's grant application. Thank you for your time and consideration, signed by the president. And I'll add just a personal note here that I think the goals of Movability and the goals of not just carbon footprint reduction, but improving the way that we can actually move people to resources within our area is of paramount importance. And I think that supporting this grant, which will cost us nothing to do, can take a big step forward in order to drive some of these new behaviors that everybody's going to have to learn to adjust to. And with that, I'll open the floor to any questions or comments.
I am curious. Sorry, allergies plaguing me for the last 3 months, it seems like. Staff often pursues grants because it's in the general scope of what they do. As cool as this one is, 2 questions. The first one is, why are we engaging this on a board level? I understand you brought this item to us.
For one thing, I'd like to have the board's commitment and approval if I'm going to lend our organization's name to a $600,000 grant that, could get public notice and some public notoriety. I think it's important that it sends a message that as a board, we're committed to the idea as well. And I think, some of that PR could be of value to movability in pushing forward some of the concepts that they're trying to enact.
But it's not money that we're giving, it's money
That's
we're
correct.
asking for.
It's a grant that will be given. We're lending our credibility to the movability application. And I think our credibility means something.
Boy,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that at all. It just seems unusual in this instance. The other question I have is how does this project relate to Pflugerville Forward and our 5-year plan for traffic and movement within the city, whether it be public transportation or pedestrian transportation or golf carts or new car lanes or bike lanes or all those things? How does it relate to that? And have we worked hand in hand with the city in terms of the outcome of what this grant could bring us and the outcome of what that commission has been working towards?
Yeah, and I think you're going to find that they'll be complementary and supportive of each other, but I
Sorry,
don't know
you
if they're
said-
going to be integrated.
You said I think I will find. That means that we haven't been working with the city to find out that it is complementary.
Have we done anything with the city? Crystal. Thank you.
Movability has been reaching out to the city. They also reached out to several large companies like Amazon, Mobo Trex. And so they're working one-on-one with them, just like with us. They're just coming, asking for support. And then what they'll do is they're going to market this opportunity for businesses to be able to apply for grant dollars from Movability if they reduce their carbon footprint. I think that they have contacted Emily. They had a conversation, so Movability has started to do that, much like they've done with us.
Yeah, the PCDC probably won't have any direct hand in it, but I think it's vital that we lend our credibility behind the project.
And thank you, Crystal. And I'm grateful that our organizations are working with the city. I expected that they would have been. But again, it just seems unusual for an item like this, for something that staff does every day in terms of applying for grants to bubble up to our level. And that's all.
President. So, thank you for the questions. And from my standpoint, in coming into this and reading through the material, the way I saw this, and I think this is, and if I put words in your mouth, stop me. But when I read through this, I looked at this going back to when the gentleman came, did the presentation to us, went through the things that they're wanting to do, used the examples that he had, even with himself, the way he had the vehicle that he brought here for the meeting. And as I was going through this, what I saw this was our organization, PCDC, providing a letter that would go along with the grant request that Mobility is going to be doing with Campo. So it's not us involved in this. We're just supporting what they're wanting to do. That's the way I read it, because this is going to be a grant done by grant request done by them to Campo for this particular grant committee. And that's the way I saw it.
And that is correct.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I did not feel comfortable signing a document, lending the credibility of the organization purely on my own initiative. And I think some of the questions that you raised, Jim, are very valid. And that's why we want to discuss them. And if we vote as a board not to do it, well, then that's the decision of the board. But I think the conversation is an important one for us to have.
Right. And I think, Jim, from your standpoint, and I know from mine, when the presentation was made, I was kind of skeptical as to where this was going to go as far as what that organization, Mobility, was all about. But actually, I was very impressed because the sense that I got was that they have a direction they think could go in reducing, because of the carbon influence, reducing the usage of automobiles. That's the bicycle and other things like this. But through some of the questions that were asked, I got a good sense that they understand what's realistic and what's not. This is what I do know. People need to get around, one, and that goes part to what the city's doing right now with that study and such. But automobiles or any way of transporting persons or goods is expensive. And anything that can be done that keeps those expenses down for individuals and businesses within a region, I see as a positive. And that's kind of where I saw this coming from, because it took the approach of not looking at cars, but people and how that can be done. And in essence, if it's done in a proper way, reduce the carbon footprint. I think that's a particular byproduct to it. But it's in that context that I was looking at this and thinking, is this something that as a PCDC board, I would be comfortable, supporting, and again, particular to their grant requests for funds for them to move forward with some of the ideas they have. I didn't see a problem with lending support, and primarily based upon the presentation I heard that night.
Again, apologies for my voice. 100%. I completely concur. I expect nothing less than a unanimous vote on this item. But
Right? You were just concerned of like how.
my issue is making sure that we are not setting a trend where this board concerns itself more with the logistics of our organization instead of making sure that we're providing strategic direction for our organization. And this, to me, sir, seems to delve into the minutia maybe a little too much. And I just wanted to make sure I put in a word of caution.
No, point well taken. And I think that even could be something that we consider in terms of our operating agreement. Perhaps we need to maybe codify exactly what kind of things like this we might want to bring to the board for, consent of the board for an action in support or not. We can definitely chew on that one in future, I think.
I mean, technically, isn't this letter kind of showing our strategic direction? Like, hey, this is where we want to see Pflugerville in terms of creative transportation solutions to help mitigate traffic both in the city and then commuters to Austin. I mean, I see your logistical perspective, but isn't it also like strategically we're looking at, transportation as a key community development initiative?
I think that's inherently obvious, but sure. I'm not here to pick a fight. I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to make a statement that this seems to be dipping below our line.
Yeah, and I think the comment is perfectly fair. And it's certainly one for us to, I think consideration of it even deeper is probably good. Establishing a precedent that doesn't take us in a very productive direction, that's something we all want to avoid, right?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would recommend that since I read this sort of as I haven't looked at the document, but I read it sort of as a policy statement. You might want to put a disclaimer at the very bottom that says that this does not represent the views of the city, just to be clear that if that hasn't been authorized, that you guys are not, just that no one's misled or confused about the city's policies.
Yeah,
Just
very
2
good
cents.
point. Well, if we don't have any more comment, I'll make the motion that we approve signing the letter with the caveat that Josh has just mentioned about the disclaimer to be contained at the bottom.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll now go to 6C. This is 2024-1167. Discuss and consider action to approve a budget expenditure in the amount of $600,000 for costs associated with the Downtown East Plaza and authorizing the executive director to execute same.
Good evening. Just a refresher on this item. In the FY24 budget, we have a line item called Community Engagement Infrastructure that we set aside for parks and rec type projects. And in FY24, we didn't use those funds. And so this board approved rolling over those funds to FY25. And it is fully funded at $600,000 in this current year. And so Emily with the city is here to give you the details on that project.
Good evening, Board. Tonight we'll present to you a component of our Downtown East project, which is the Downtown East Plaza. The plaza, I'll show you some kind of relationship to the rec center, which is partially funded through PCDC budgetary goals as well, is right adjacent to the rec center. And so the funding in your FY25 budget, as Crystal said, is $600,000, and we're working towards the design of that particular space. The plaza here references the Civic Plaza. You can see right there in the center, we refer to kind of as the heart of Downtown East. Is really the goal is to create an engaging and vibrant center of this development and really kind of speak well and interact with the recreation center that you see there immediately to the east of the project. It'll be located off of Main Street, and there's some elements that we really like to include in really thinking about kind of the overall funding for the project, trying to get it out of the ground as really a well-designed, something that the community can be really proud of and have a lot of programming features that will work well for the development of Downtown East and also engage downtown and the rest of the community as well.
Emily, a quick question.
Sure.
About how many acres is that area?
The Civic Plaza is
Yeah.
approximately an acre.
About an acre. Okay, good. Thank you.
So here generally is kind of where we are and just kind of conceptual design as we're kind of looking at all of the moving parts to it and kind of the programming of the space. We do anticipate having a stage for various events, whether it's music in the park or other types of festivals. It also offers them other opportunities for just kind of your passive use of that space by our residents, to kind of a great lawn where we imagine a lot of gathering, which you see there right in the center. And as we move towards the south, really some nature play, also some outdoor games and some fun things, which I think have some additional pictures up here. As we work our way south, and along the south side of the plaza will be Main Street, which then connects to City Hall. So it's really the view from City Hall to this space in the plaza with the recreation center there immediately to the east. The recreation center will have amenities in it, which we'll show you with your next item, where there's roll-up doors. And so they really kind of act as one, and you can kind of expand the recreation center into this space as well. So we're getting a little bit more refined, but really kind of working on kind of those budgetary items as we look towards what we want to deliver for this space. Kind of that stage you see there with the service building on the back really offers a lot of opportunity for our parks and programming teams to utilize this space more effectively than today, as you see at our festivals, as kind of rolling out a stage and those kind of things and then storing it. This will be a permanent fixture within the plaza. The pedestrian street there off to the left-hand side of the screen will eventually front a more commercial type development, but it really is intended to support future farmers markets or other types of markets along that area. And so it's designed with infrastructure to support 2 pop-up 10 by 10 tents between every set of trees. And so really a great way to expand programming engagement in this area.
Emily, do you know, just offhand, what trees we're planning to plant out there?
We have not done tree selection for the
Got it.
plaza.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. We'll have outdoor games and seating, some water features and nature play that was a big feedback that we got when we have engaged the community during Slice, is to have some nature play, water play features for kids in this space. We'll also be creating a trailhead. As you all know, we're the trail capital of Texas. This area will serve as a trailhead for the Gillen Trail, and as well as the entrance to the rec center. Also have some beautiful canopies we'd like to include along the front side, which are referred to here as the Main Street canopy. So the stage will be approximately 2,100 square feet. as I mentioned, support a variety of uses and activities, concert performances, outdoor classes, farmers market demonstrations to be a unique way to utilize the stage, also casual dining with movable furniture. Here you see some examples of some stages. I think the one on the bottom picture there is in Colorado. So you've got quite a variety of options. One of the key pieces for the stage will be that it's angled away from the residents to the north and to the west to make sure that sound is coming to the south. But we also want it to be a very pleasing and inviting space. And so that it's something that's exciting, kind of creates that, what you think of as in the picture, like that picture at the south on the bottom there. Here's an example of a Main Street canopy that we plan for 2 canopies, approximately 750 square feet each, that it's all weather. As you all know, it's hot in Texas, and so we're really trying to be mindful of shade for the project overall, and especially in areas along Main Street, which you see here on the bottom, which is also having infrastructure to support food trucks along this corridor. And so we have food truck park there, we have canopies where people can get in line, and we can set up tables and chairs as seen in this picture here. It provides that shaded opportunity and people more time to spend in this space as well. I also think this will probably become an iconic feature really as you kind of enter into the plaza space here at the plaza. So tonight, the action requested is the allocation of the funding in your FY25 budget for $600,000 towards improvements to the plaza for downtown East, such as the stage and the canopies. Those are kind of the bigger ticket items. So there are a lot of features like the water play that are rather expensive.
How much does like a canopy run?
It really kind of depends. It could, that one, we're probably thinking around $350,000 for the stage. The canopies might even exceed that depending on kind of the structural elements. I think those 2 elements might get to $600,000. That's why I featured those for you.
You actually answered a question I had. Given the heat that we do have, I'm presuming that the stage will be covered. We will not have an open air stage that has nothing protecting you from the sun.
Well, right, as you kind of saw there, you see
Yeah,
in both of those stage styles, they are
Yes.
covered, right?
Wonderful.
They are open air, but you would still
Yeah.
experience the weather. It's just
Yeah,
not.
there is some shade. Yeah,
There's
good,
some
excellent,
shade to that.
excellent.
Okay, happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does PCDC get a plaque? And I say that not entirely jokingly, because one of the things we've often struggled with as an organization is making sure that the community knows what we do, right? And there's always, who is PCDC? What is community development? How do we affect our city? And so in some seriousness, I wonder if, because we're helping to fund this, that PCDC can't get some sort of recognition that this is our footprint. Something, I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to be named after PCDC, that'd be dumb. But some recognition, and maybe a small plaque, it's hidden, it might be like geocached and you gotta search for it. It's under a rock, I don't know, but in some way, just to articulate that PCDC is an organization that is engaged with our community, supporting our community and making it better.
I mean, certainly that's something we can look into. That's not something that's programmed in as far as kind of naming or kind of our donations or things like that within the space. Part of, I imagine that we could look at where that might go.
Emily, let me suggest something to you. Can we go back to the picture with the 2 roofs essentially over the stages?
Here?
If we had the PCDC logo emblazoned on the underside of those roofs.
No,
angled
sir.
away.
No, that won't work.
No, sir.
Why would that work? I think that's a great idea.
Subtle.
You could do like the trail.
I like the idea of the roof.
So this would be a portion of a much larger expense that the plaza will cost. This is in order to ensure the delivery of all of the elements of the plaza within this initial phase.
And when would you anticipate this would actually come about? I mean,
This would come about, our goal is to have the plaza delivered at the same time as the rec center and city hall in the
Okay.
fall of 26.
Gotcha.
We're later in the design of the plaza because it takes less time to construct. And so we really worked on the city hall,
Right.
the infrastructure and the rec center, because those take much, the lead time on that is much greater.
Right, yeah.
I have a question. I'm a little confused. If I'm wrong, okay, just slap me. I had the impression PCDC kind of paid for this development.
No, sir.
I mean, the funds or,
A portion of the funds for the recreation center are funded through PCDC budget.
okay. And those funds, this stuff wasn't comprehended. Why are we now doing additional funds?
So that was specifically for the the multi-generational recreation center facility alone. And so as we think about the budget for the project overall, as Crystal mentioned, there was $300,000 from last year, $300,000 that PCDC typically budgets towards efforts like this. So it was thought of to hold off on other, so that we could think about more thoughtfully how we could utilize those dollars within the plaza at this point in time. And so we've gotten to a point where we know this is more the concept of what we want to be able to deliver. And so that we are more confident in saying at this moment, it's the $600,000 appropriate at this placement versus another park or other area where we might have a use for it.
And another question. So not to use the Jordan term, but we're about to blow the entire budget on this one expenditure for Parks and Recs kind of funding. PCDC is about to spend all of their money that they've kind of set aside for other Parks and Recs related stuff on this one thing. Am I missing something?
No, yeah, so I'll just typically say that each year this money is set aside for Parks and Rec. So we knew last year when you guys considered rolling over the 300, we knew there was going to be a project of this significance. And we knew we were going to spend it probably in this area. And so we just needed the details. But it's typical that community engagement infrastructure grant is typically a Parks and Rec grant that we do each year per the policy that the board approved last year. And I think previous projects that have come before you are things like shading our park spaces. At this month, 100% of our playscapes are now shaded. And so this is our next priority kind of in our park system to be able to deliver a plaza of this significance for the community.
I just want to make sure that in the list of priorities, when I was on Parks and Rec, we prioritized a list of things we wanted to do. And those things are being done and not being impacted because we're providing funding for something else. That's all. I'm trying to understand.
Correct. So in how we prioritize like our parks capital improvements, right? Shane and our parks team work towards that. This is definitely at the top of our list this year.
And to your point, Oscar, I think, as Emily mentioned, this year we achieved 100% shade coverage on our parks. And also, I think, and Emily, I don't know if you know the average age of our park equipment, but I know that's increased or decreased significantly as we've replaced.
It has, and I
park
think
equipment.
it's 7 to 8.
It's-
Our expert here will know.
I
that.
know he's very proud of it.
He is.
So with the one that we're working on right now, we'll be under 5. So
Under 5 years
in,
on the
in,
age of our
I don't know,
equipment.
when I was there, it was like 18.
It was, yeah, exact, no, me too, right? And so, amazing job.
yeah, 5 years ago, we had 14 playgrounds over 15 years of age or older. After we finished the 3 we're working on now, no playground in our park system will be over 9 years of age. So the average age by the end of this project is under 5, and by the end of the 3 that we have in the budget this year will put us close to 4. And so there's a new park almost everywhere in the community now.
There a certain like time limit that park is, its use has.
Yeah, so the industry standard is normally 15 years. So when I, like I said, when I got here, I had 14 over 15 years of age. So we'll have none over 9 by the end of the summer of 2025.
But to your point, we've accomplished those goals that we set 8, 9, 10 years ago. And now we're able to take 2 years of budget and roll it up and make a more significant new input.
Thank you.
Any other further questions, comments?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. I've got a motion to approve and seconded by both Adam and Oscar. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Emily.
I'm gonna hang out with you here for the next time.
Okay, we'll now go to item 6D and right back. 2024-1194, discussion and consideration of action to approve the design and construction drawings as required by the May 2023 agreement between the city and PCDC pertaining to the City of Pflugerville's multi-generational recreation center.
Thank you. So tonight we bring forward to you more detailed information than we had last year because we've made significant progress through the design of our multi-generational recreation centers. Several of you were at our groundbreaking, which happened earlier this month. We are well underway to this. And so tonight we're bringing forward to you the construction plans. I believe you received a link to that. There were over 1,000 pages in that. Please know that we have many experts. Bob Galloway with FGM Architects is here with me tonight, who is one of the creative minds behind the design of this project. We also have a wealth of consultants as well as our own city staff reviewing the level of detail that's required for this project. So tonight I'll walk you through the rec center and ask for your approval of those drawings. The board did approve this in last May, which is funds a portion of the recreation center located on the Downtown East project. As you can see here, and we showed this to you last year as well, we were under kind of that project design. We've moved now into permitting and are under active construction. The construction you see on the project today is not specifically related to the actual building. It is related to the infrastructure to support the buildings. And so that's, but I want to make sure there's not confusion as to what.
I thought that big trench they were building was going to be like a moat around the rec center.
I mean,
Really long
floats
swim
some boats around. That's right. So construction has started, but we are still several months away from getting all of the permits completed for this project. As you can imagine, it's quite a lift to pull this project out of the ground. So we are, for phase one, we are delivering the recreation center, city hall, civic plaza, as well as a structured parking that you'll see in downtown East, as well as additional parking and the Main Street extension from Railroad there at Main, where it terminates today.
And where will, on Main Street, where would that additional structured parking be?
It's right across from the rec center,
Where the,
where it says parcel one.
That lower right?
Yep, gotcha. This right here.
okay.
So be parking to support that there. Initially, we had thought about surface parking. There's a big savings with constructing, not having the throwaway costs for the surface parking, putting in structured parking.
That's
some
why I
other
asked the
cost
question.
savings.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I just want to make sure you and I are on the same page.
So the recreation center, we went through quite a level of programming with a recreation center steering committee, was members of the public made up community members like you all to help us with the program. We also utilized our Park and Recreation Commission, as well as, of course, City Council to approve that programming, which then comes into what you see here today. It'll be a 3-level multi-generational rec center. And on the first floor is a natatorium or pool area. And you see here, I think one of the biggest questions I couldn't answer at the time when we were looking at the funding was the square footage. And so you see here the specific square footages of each of the programming efforts. And we'll zoom into each of these areas. I just want to make sure I shared with you all the square footage for each of the spaces. The gymnasium, which is about 43,000 square feet, or if you can imagine 4 high school basketball courts, which equates to 8 middle school basketball courts, 12 pickleball courts, as well as volleyball. There's community admin locker support area, which is located in the front of the building. When I told you there was a trailhead when we looked at the plaza on your last item, it's located here. You come in the entrance to the facility, and here, this is where you would find that community admin support. The gymnasium here in the natatorium. There's lockers and restrooms and a sauna located in here. One of the unique features about this facility that I don't know, and I think Shane can answer this well, but some rec centers have an indoor turf space. But what most, any of them have, is an indoor turf ramp. And so it allows for a lot different programming and exercise opportunities, which is located in this space here, which will connect to the second level.
I was gonna say, like, what's the vision of 6,000 square feet of turf? Is it like indoor soccer? Is it?
It is like indoor, so it's more recreational. It won't fit a full game, but it is more recreational play and kind of team building.
Okay. Like, is it, yeah, because I was wondering, like, is it designed for kids? Is it designed for
It's-
high school?
It's a variety of things. You couldn't hold a game on it, but it's a turf opportunity for exercise, learning sports, things like that in there. Within that space also, there are doors that open, that's the space that opens into the plaza. So that we can also program activities for recreation center people there. Within the natatorium, I also point out, and we'll get to a slide on that too, there are two slides. One you saw maybe in kind of the plaza center that actually goes into the plaza space. You can see it from the exterior. The other stays wholly within the facility. As we move into the mezzanine level, there's a fitness area, which is located, I'm sorry, this is going on and off, at the bottom left-hand corner, around 11,645 square feet, a significant increase to the fitness area that we have at our current rec center today. An adventure track, which is a walking track, but also has elevation relief in it. So it offers multiple types of opportunities for exercise around that track. And that's the figure 8 that you see located here. It'll be above the gym space. We are also thinking about the future possible expansion and kind of growth of the community, not only in this facility, but City Hall. So this area will be a shell space for additional build out as we see different needs for the rec center growing.
How does the fitness square feet compare to other rec centers around us, but also maybe gyms around us? Cowboys Fit or just like a Crunch Fit?
I think we really compared it to our cardio today, which is this is about 8 times the size. The fitness space specifically.
It was like, it's like 125,000. It's like, sorry, rec center for 125,000 people.
And Emily, I just want to make sure that if we're looking at stacking, first floor, mezzanine, second floor.
Right. And in here, it's really a building center. No one would know, and per a building code, we call it mezzanine.
Yeah.
It's how much you cover of the floor, right? And
Right.
so that is really truly what you'll feel like it's the second floor. Okay.
Gotcha.
So mezzanine level is the building term that we call that space. As we move then to the third floor, the space, because of you can imagine the ceiling heights for the gym need to be a little bit taller. So the third or second floor level here will host a community and admin support, exterior patio and roof deck. There's also an event hall, which will hold 300 people. And so that's really kind of where we imagine kind of your event.
And we
gathering
use the
space.
pointer just to do straight to the board where the outdoor deck is.
Yep. And we'll get a little bit closer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Please
Yep.
continue on.
And
Yeah, my
this is
mistake.
kind of glitching on me, so I apologize. It's not staying on there. So we
You
can
might
get,
get to it, but, is there like spectator seating?
yes,
Okay.
Yep. There's the ability to roll in and roll out seating depending on the event. So in here's a little bit closer view, and I just want to point out, let me go back real quick. This space here, see if this will work. This right here, which looks like just a shell, and that went off again, but that's the retail space. That is being delivered by our development partner.
Yeah.
Be about 10,500 square feet of retail, and that will front along Main Street. And so that's what that space represents right there. The total building will be 141,000 square feet. So here's the first level, and you can see a little more color. You see that as we kind of start at the southwest corner, we're walking through kind of the brown area. The green there is the turf. We have child watch and a playscape plan for the front yellow boxes as you move. Then as you move towards the rear of the building, that's where you see the pool, the multiple slides, really trying to be mindful of the multi-generational intent of this facility. And so in so many ways, we're programming a multi-generational lounge where our seniors and teens can both hang out, engage together, and then times of day where one group might use it more than the other. So that's kind of at the front. But to the pool, teens are an area which, as you all can imagine, teens are challenging to find out what they really enjoy. And so in the pool area, we have features for toddlers to the slides. The stand-up slide was really kind of an addition to engage our teens. Shane was very adamant, like, let's have some clocks up there so they could race and catch their times down those slides. There are things for our seniors, from kind of a relaxing little spa area to the wave pool where you can kind of walk and exercise, as well as some lap swimming. It is not intended for competition. It is intended for exercise, aqua aerobics, those types of things.
You gotta ruin
What
everything.
lanes are we thinking
Right?
or-
Everything's a competition.
Lanes.
How do you think that'll, like, when we think about opens or opens, how do we think like, and maybe that's something you're thinking about. I just think about like how many lanes we have in the city as a whole. 3 lanes enough for our population.
So we really try to think about what could we fit in this space, we try to fit as much of the programming needs in the space without it feeling like small.
Right.
So 3 fits for us to also be able to balance all the other needs of the pool area. Will we outgrow that? I imagine we hit 250,000 people. We need to be thinking about another rec center, another part of town, those kind of things.
Maybe the other.
Correct. And certainly there's still the multitude of pools that Shane's teams manages outside of this facility as well.
Emily, do you know what the average ceiling height is for, let's say, this floor of the facility?
Do you know that, Bob?
State the question again.
I'm sorry, the average ceiling height?
Well, in the gym is a double height.
Right. I'm talking about,
The floor, the distance between each floor of the 3 levels is 16 feet. So the double height space is 30 feet.
okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's 16 was what I was getting after. Yeah, thank you.
So here's that mezzanine or second level. You see there that figure 8 with the adventure track, the lighter yellow here at the bottom corner. That's the fitness and cardio. There's also some classrooms and fitness space in there as well. The turf here connects to the turf ramp, which connects to the larger turf field down below. Really a unique opportunity in a rec center that most don't have, another feature that we'll be able to offer our community. And then the third level here, you see the little round circles. That's the event space, which will have a stage in it as well that opens into the patio there at the southwest corner. This also has additional classrooms, more for your kind of wet classrooms, your arts, crafts, kind of senior gatherings there. We'll also have a kitchen that's set up for cooking as well as catering in the event space.
And the seating capacity for the event center there? Thank you.
Jim, didn't you, you asked multiple times, I don't know if this was, some of those areas that aren't utilized, didn't you ask a couple of times if we could have that, I guess, set so that they could be utilized in the future? In the future, if we needed to? I like say that the one closest to the yellow right there at the bottom, that little white spot with the 4 little, whatever they are on there. I thought you had questioned that one time.
I believe that is true.
Yeah.
That I recall very similar
You
conversation.
remember
I
that?
do.
Okay.
But so where we try to think about that,
Uh-huh.
because of the roof changes that Bob mentioned, right? That kind of changes up here. And so you don't see it from this, you'll see it. We have some renderings to kind of help show that. But really on the second level, that gray box at the top, that's kind of that expansion opportunity, the
Okay.
growth opportunity. So we did try to build that in, be mindful of where we place the bathrooms so we weren't precluded from expanding in those spaces. We've really tried to maximize all of those areas where we could do that. So that's the shell space for future expansion.
Thank you.
Part of the issue is making sure that you have the structural integrity at the lower levels to support it. And to do that requires extra engineering.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that we've thought about some expansion opportunities in that portion.
And so here's kind of the palette of the materials on the exterior, and you'll see better in the renderings, but is really trying to be mindful. We can't recreate kind of the historical design, right? It's a massive building and it's kind of that form over function. So we pulled some of those materials in from kind of what you see around the city, around the current rec center in downtown. So you've got some corrugated metal, some limestone blocks, some brick, also some unique elements that kind of show off the innovation of the facility as well.
You know,
So
I'm sorry, Emily, just as a note, if we can get a list of those materials, because of course, you know, we're doing some work in the further development there on the 130 Plaza. And I think that, you know, if we could have some coordination even there. in what
Sure.
we do. Yeah.
they're in that link that was provided to you on the
Perfect.
material page. We'll
Yes.
give you the page number because I know 1,000 pages is a lot to
Thank
go.
you.
Okay, so here's just kind of a bird's eye view. You see the pool areas here, what we're closest to in that slide coming out into the plaza space. Some additional renderings. I think this kind of helps convey better the visual that we'll have for the rec center. So from this angle, imagine that you're standing just north of Main Street. You're looking at you're just north of HEB, standing on 685. This is the north side of the building. The windows that you see, see if I can, these windows here, this is adjacent to the adventure track. So as you're walking, you have a nice view, but it's also a nice architectural feature for the community as well. And a unique element. You don't see buildings like this really here. Tried to incorporate some additional glazing or glass and some colors. Still refining this a little bit. This is the view that we have.
Is there any illuminated signage there?
We've talked about potential for this here
Mhm.
to be illuminated. We have not got into the details of signage.
For what it's worth, I think that's a really good way for us to
Sure.
leverage that. Yeah.
Here, kind of going complete catty corner to where we just were standing. This is the trailhead or entrance to the rec center. And so you can see here, the entrance on the first floor. Thank you, Paul. The entrance there it's a covered entrance as you kind of come into the site. On the second level there, you can kind of see some of the machines. That's the cardio space.
Right.
A beautiful way to be able to exercise. You look out into the plaza or to Main Street, into that area, really thoughtful there. And then you see the patio there on the third floor. And then where you kind of see those colored there, that's the event space. And so really great views as well to the plaza, Main Street, in this facility.
Like the trees up.
You know, in that rendering though, I'm just not seeing a lot of shade coverage.
This rendering is meant to reflect the architecture of the building and not the landscaping or the plaza space.
So we're expecting the trees will provide more shade for.
Yes, this
sidewalk.
is not about the streetscaping.
Gotcha,
It's
okay.
about the building. So here's the view if you were standing on Main Street, just really almost to City Hall. So this is, you see there the entrance where the white car is, that's the entrance we were just looking at. Here along the front was kind of a continuation of the retail space there. This is where the senior or multi-generational lounge will look out onto Main Street on that first floor. The second floor is a continuation of the cardio, it continues to the classrooms. And then up there on the third floor there, additional classrooms, and then of course the patio space. Going to the catty corner of this one, this is kind of the area of the building, which is really more utility. It's the north side of the building. We'll wrap this particular component in artwork. This is really the portion of the building which supports the pool area. So it's all of the pumps and motors and chemicals. That's why you don't see a lot of windows in that area. So we tried to really dress it up utilizing art in this space. And the plaza here is off to the right. Here's that other corner. You see the restaurant there. This reflects what the design of the retail will be there. And then what I showed you previously, that adventure track window along 685. I'm happy to answer any questions tonight. We're asking, as dictated through the resolution for funding, your support of approval of the construction plans for this project.
Question, I didn't notice, maybe just glossed over it. Area for large truck deliveries and. is that-
Sure. The deliveries will happen in this space here and adjacent to, they'll be an on-street loading zone articulated. That's in our infrastructure plans.
Through the entrances or there's no
It-
dock? Rib?
We had no need for a dock. Okay, so we have about monthly deliveries of chemicals, things like that. We've coordinated for trash pickup in this area, and have designed the landscaping so it's not interrupted in order to be able to have that for this facility.
Where's the food court or food area in relation to this?
The opposite end.
So it's at the opposite end. There's also a loading zone for that. That's also programmed with the retail to be delivered on non-peak hours within the loading zone on that side.
Emily, could you go to the overall diagram where it's the 29.5 acres? I think it's 2 or 3 down from here. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
So love the plans, love everything about it. My question is, that area to the south of where the development's going to be, you know, that's essentially kind of just a natural area that's not developed.
In here?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I just want to ask the question, have we been thinking about fencing that area off or at least posting signs or doing something to mitigate the fact of not having somebody go out and hurt themselves, or in a time of rain where we might be having some flooding, they go and, you know, possibly injure themselves?
No, no, just like in many of our park systems are adjacent to creeks and greenbelt areas, we welcome that. And so as you can see even today on Pecan, like some of that underbrush is being cleared out by goats and things like that. It is floodplain area. We also don't want to preclude things from getting stuck in fencing and precluding those floodwaters from going where they need to go. But really, that'll be I think a really beautiful area.
Okay, so we don't
to
anticipate any
explore.
public safety concern in that area?
We don't. I mean, our trails exist along this space today.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mentioned that because there are, well, good, I'm glad you allay that issue. Any other questions or comments?
I think you did a really good job of literally putting every it's a true multi-generational rec center with all this space. So, I mean, I think you did a really good job of really being inclusive to literally everybody from babies to more mature folks.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
This really is a result of incredible community feedback. Our incredible creative consultant team, and certainly our park staff, who's incredibly thoughtful to all of the customers that they have within our park system today.
And because I just like to hear it, can you tell me the total square footage of the rec center again?
141,000 square.
And is that the largest rec center in Central Texas or?
In Central Texas, it will be, yes. Shane will put his head down because I think outside of the Epic, which you all toured, I think it will be then the third, because Allen's just opened it and this will be just shy of the size of that one. But I would say that even outside of size, it will be the most creative and thoughtful. To Adam's point, the way I think we've been able to incorporate all the unique elements, none of them have a stand-up slide, the turf ramp and the indoor turf space, how it connects to the cardio, an incredible adventure track over 4 high school courts that can really transition into a multitude of sports will be a really unique opportunity, topped off with a beautiful event space that our community can enjoy. So I think outside of size, there's a lot of beautiful elements for this facility.
Shane, I expect a t-shirt.
Emily, I think this is going to knock the city dead. I think they're going to love it. It's going to be something that the region hasn't seen. And I think that's exactly the kind of thing that we need, especially to catalyze what we're trying to do in the downtown area. I applaud the outcome. Fantastic work.
And I want to thank you and staff for taking the bull by the horns on this. I mean, y'all have been working on this for a long time, and we have our haters out there, and I suspect that once this comes to fruition, they're still gonna be haters, but they're gonna be visiting this place.
Yeah, they'll be in there complaining. as
Yeah, they're
working on all of
complaining.
it.
Yeah, they'll complain about something in there. They'll find something.
It'll
that's
be a
still-
new thing.
yeah. So thank you all for all you're doing.
I know this isn't
Yeah, outstanding effort.
a rec center, but you know, I know we have 10,000 square feet of retail. Like, do you have in your dream, like a vision of type of industries maybe you'd want to be complement the rec center perhaps?
Well, I think what the rec center and the community overall needs is more food and beverage. Y'all have heard that. Our council has articulated that. And so our master developer who's responsible for bringing that is really looking for that. Terry and your contract with retail strategies has helped us kind of articulate who that could be. And so I think that would be a great addition to all of that square footage. I imagine it might be one or two restaurants with maybe some retail combined, but certainly food and beverage.
Like fitness related retail or, you know, or
Sure,
food
that
and
has,
beverage, you know?
yeah, that's come up a couple times, whether it's something different, but I think part of that is balancing all of the programming that our parks team will do, and then what need is left.
Really. So when you showed the picture from an architectural rendering type standpoint of that southwest corner where the entrance is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that was to, don't look at the stuff around it, but that's to show you what the architectural elements will look like.
Mhm.
The top patio, that type of thing.
Yeah.
When you showed the side of the building on 685,
Uh-huh.
where people could look out as they go around the track. So is that what that will look like as well, or is that still being finalized on what that
That will what
architecture?
will look like as
The,
well.
the architectural element. So if I'm in the HEB parking lot and I look over at
Yep.
the building, what will I see?
That's
Or as I'm driving on 685, what will it look like from that standpoint?
I don't think we have a rendering like if you're standing in HEB. What you saw was as if you were driving on 685, that's what
Okay.
you would see with some enhanced landscaping. That, because we were trying to really show the architecture, it's really more landscaping but that's pretty close to what it will be.
Okay, so from the standpoint of once this is here and over time, I envision there'll be a lot of traffic going up and down 685, whether it's coming off of 130, coming up
Sure.
that's all 685 corridor, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So in many cases, when people come through and they see Pflugerville, definitely downtown east will be, this is where downtown is. That side of the building is what the vast majority of people are going to see who may never go into that area where we're going to have this beautiful plaza and the stage and so forth. So I'm just thinking that definitely it's a flat side, and I'm not saying make it something different than it is, but I'm just saying that to me, it's almost going to be like a front door
Mhm.
without it being the front door.
So we are also thinking so tonight we focused on the rec center, but kind of how the gateway into downtown
Right.
looks and feels into that space. And so that'll be articulated more on Main Street, kind of as we transform 685 over time. That will look and feel very different. And I think you'll easily know how to get in and be excited about coming this way, even though it is flat because of that form over function. So I tried to add some unique, maybe color elements and kind of the
Yeah.
different glazing. But certainly we are thinking also about kind of how the streets are treated so that you
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
feel
Flat-
invited. into
Yeah,
that
flat, clean
space.
lines, I have no problem with at all. I'm just looking at it from standpoint of, is it going to have a surface treatment that is nice, but
Mhm.
it's not memorable?
Yeah.
Or if it is memorable, it's memorable for the wrong reason. I'm just thinking that's what people will see. Again, not that it's where the value is. Everything obviously is inside the buildings, which is where the value should be,
Mhm.
as well as the open areas and the other things with the city hall facilities and so forth. I'm just thinking that the vast majority of people who live in Pflugerville or work in Pflugerville, the part that they're going to see for the city complex will always be that side on 685.
That's true.
But I'm very pleased with everything I've seen through tonight and even the previous meetings.
A little nerdy inquiry. Publicly accessible power outlets in and around the building.
Mhm.
Also, I forgot to mention in the plaza, you mentioned the 10 by 12 and other canopy or whatever for lots of publicly accessible outlets.
We have thought about that because we do, even in City Hall, we want it to really feel like that space where you're welcome and comfortable, and whether you're waiting for your kids from their basketball practice or whatever, you can plug in your laptop. That is certainly at top of mind when talking about technology for the facility as well as the plaza space.
For someone who always forgets his brick, USB plugs are.
Yeah. You know, Emily, there's one thing I want to kind of catch the coattails of what Darrell was talking about. So Eindhoven in the Netherlands, that's actually the home of Philips lighting. And November of every year, they have something called the Glow Festival. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, what they basically do is that on a majority of the public buildings, they make projections with light. And it is some of the most spectacular, incredible visuals I have ever seen. Stunning. If you know what the Sphere is in Las Vegas, it almost rivals that. It is incredibly detailed. It's just magnificent. Now, of course, that's really huge and large scale, but I think we might even be able to perhaps borrow an idea there. If perhaps we're talking about a space that is relatively smooth, perhaps it's unremarkable in the daylight, but I think there may be things we could do with illumination that could make it interesting and compelling, but not so onerous that, you know, neighbors complain or they do anything like that. But I think something along those lines might be an opportunity for us to actually, you know, put our unique signature on it and then have something that really stands out.
Yeah.
But I invite you to take a look at the Glow Festival in Eindhoven if you go onto Google and just see a little of the extreme of what it can do and then scale it way back. And I think, you know, possibly we have an option, but if you've never seen it before, it's worth looking at.
Sure. And we are working with FGM Architects kind of on the lighting. That's still some of the components left to make
Yeah.
sure that we're also working within the budget. They've got some unique opportunities. We're seeing if we can fit in the budget for the building. Also, kind of the signage I mentioned, we haven't refined that yet. There's a rec center, Carla Madsen, I think in Denver, that has a really unique kind of lighting feature that kind of draws your attention to that.
Mhm.
Those are some of the refined pieces that we're still working on for this facility.
Sweet.
I think it's a great idea. I think that leading up to that, maybe we might look at the 26 budget of allocating some funds for setting the lake on fire. I think there's also examples of how that can be a great festival opportunity as well.
Now y'all put me in a boat. And I don't know.
True
Done.
Viking tradition. Love it.
Done. We should do a practice run.
Sounds good to me. Practice.
We do need your action tonight, if you don't mind.
All right, so we're for item 60. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. All right, we will now move to 6E. This will put us into an executive session. We are in executive session as of 7:11. We got to read the whole thing first. Yeah. Sorry, I'm excited to get in. Okay. 2024-1197. Item 1, executive session item, deliberations in accordance with sections 551-071 and 551-087 of the Texas Government Code to discuss economic development negotiations and financial information received from businesses expanding or relocating in the city of Pflugerville, and to seek legal advice regarding such projects, incentives, negotiations, and performance agreement compliance, including projects Gene and Impact Way Phase 4. Item 2 is session item 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding pending litigation that's at 15508 Impact Way LLC versus community, excuse me, the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation et al. Case number 1:23-CV-00914 in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas. Executive session item number 3, deliberations in accordance with sections 551.072 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the sale, purchase, or lease of real property, Project Greenfield. Executive session item 4, discussion of personnel matters pursuant to section 511.074 of the Texas Government Code regarding the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. The board is expected to retire to executive session on the item for deliberation on personnel matters, including the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. Executive director, staffing and organizational chart. And finally, item 5, 551.171 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney regarding legal obligations under the PCDC under the city services agreement with the city of Pflugerville. Okay, and with that, at 7:13 after the hour, we are in executive session. 19 minutes after the hour, we have returned from executive session. No action was taken. And as such, there's nothing left on the agenda. Our meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Well done.
Well, y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.